Anderson Cooper, AC 360, CNN weeknights 10 Eastern.
Jeff, what do you think? Will this hold up?
Well, I think the biggest problem with the bill is not this reasonable suspicion question, which is, of course, a big one, but the question of does Arizona have the right to enforce federal immigration laws? There's a doctrine of law called preemption, where it says that the United States government, the federal government, preempts, takes over certain areas of law, and immigration is a classic example. So I think many courts...
supporters of it say, though, that the federal government has failed in their responsibilities to do that, and they have no other choice.
Well, that may be that the federal government has failed, but that doesn't change the legal doctrine, which says vote out your congressman, vote out the president, get the federal government to fix it, but you can't suddenly have a state take over a federal function. I think that's the biggest problem with the law.
When supporters of this bill, like Representative Kavanaugh, who's kind enough to be on for a second night, who's a former police officer, says, look, this is in line with other federal laws. This is in line with rulings. I think Terry v. Ohio allows police, if they have reasonably suspect that a crime is being committed or that, someone's a drunk driver and they see somebody swerving, they can pull over and talk to them. Is this the same thing?
Well, that's the rubric of law they're trying to fit it into. It's called a Terry stop, after the case you mentioned, Terry versus Ohio. And the argument is that law enforcement officers have had the opportunity, if they reasonably suspect a crime is taking place, they don't have to have probable cause. They have this lower level, reasonable suspicion. They can go stop someone and talk to them if they see them passing packages that look like drugs. The question that makes this law so different is, what does it mean to look like you are reasonably suspected of being an illegal immigrant? What does an illegal immigrant look like?
Right, because the crime is not an actual action. It is just...
It's a status.
It is a status. It's your being.
That's right. And that's what makes opponents of the law so uncomfortable, because if you give the police the opportunity, the obligation, and in fact, this is not an option on the part of the Arizona police, this is an obligation on the part of the Arizona police to stop people who reasonably look like an illegal immigrant, that seems to open the door to a lot of stops of people. And the question of what does an illegal immigrant look like is not addressed in the law. The governor said today she's going to have a training manual put forward, but it is a big mystery in the law of what does a police officer look for when he or she is obligated to make one of these stops.
Do you, I mean, you're an expert on the Supreme Court as it is now. Do you think it would hold up scrutiny, whether it's this or the federal question?
Well, look, this is a highly political issue. Republicans are for it. Democrats are against it. This is a highly partisan Supreme Court. At the moment, I think lower courts will likely find this law unconstitutional, probably on this preemption ground, the ground that this belongs to the federal government. But in highly charged political environments, it's always difficult to predict what the Supreme Court will do.